Hey there, you're watching Bare Knuckle Binder. Welcome to the channel. I am back in Texas and I am diving right into projects I have here. I'm not going to waste too much time telling you all the background of it, but long and short of it is that I have to find new storage for my projects. The projects don't fit at the house. A buddy of mine was letting me store some trucks and this tractor at his place. But I think he is looking at selling the place or developing it. So I have to find new places for stuff. Now, the kind of blessing in disguise for that is that I have a little bit of time, but also when you're storing stuff, when you're moving stuff, when you're finding places to store stuff, it is always easier to have that stuff running. That's not always, possible or feasible at the time, but with this thing, the H, it is very possible. This is actually, of all the things I have that are non-running, this is the closest thing to running. Now, I'm not going to get too mired down in the details because it's really not that big of a deal. It's just, stuff's got to get shuffled around and it's easier if it's running. This thing's the closest to running. It just needs a motor swap. I have a motor sitting right there for it. It's a Farmall tractor, so it's pretty straightforward, but I just wanted to catch everybody up on this because this is the second video I've done about this tractor. The first one was just an introduction, just talking about some of the cooler points of it and the problems. So one of the cool things that I missed in the introduction video about this tractor is that the motor that's in it has M&W pistons that are stuck. But if I can save them, if I can get it actually unstuck and turning over, I will be pretty tempted to run it how it is. Now, it has a distillate head, so I have to make sure that those M&W pistons will work with a gas head because sometimes there's clearance issues. The distillate head is a little deeper combustion chamber on it. Anyway, that's for another day. But one thing about this H, when I talked about it in the first video, is that it has this homemade toolbox that's rotting out. And as you can tell from the rot out, this thing, while it does have some goodies in it, it is at least half full of rat poop. In the first video, against my better judgment now, I promised that I would go through this thing on camera and find the treasures that are in it. So let's just get this out of the way, all right? Rubber gloves. Pretty much empty box. It's old world craftsmanship. Now, this pan is all the metal objects I've gotten out of it. And that is most of the rat poop. So now I'm gonna get this off of here. I'll spread this out in the driveway and show you what I got, but it's really not much. It's mostly just scrap weight. So out of all of this, these are the only cool things I've found. And honestly, most of these were up by the top. Old spark plug socket, trailer hitch, file, a couple of old wrenches, and then this. I think this is possibly the coolest thing. This is a clamp, carriage bolt. It's got a square hole in there made for the carriage bolt. And indexing notches. I just think that's super cool. But anyway, that's what we got. The rest of this stuff goes to scrap. It's just junk. This actually looks like a Farmall brake pedal spring. But yeah, I'll put those in Evaporust, and the rest of this go to the scrap yard. All right, so I've got the hood off the tractor now. I don't have my camera stand, or I can't find it right now. It might be in the van still. So I've just been doing things, and I'll cut in and show you what I've been doing. But I've got the hood off the tractor. You can see the head's been taken off the tractor. That's what the previous owner did towards getting it unstuck. There is Evaporust. I filled this thing back up, the cylinders, with Evaporust. But nevertheless, this motor is coming out because I just need to get a motor in there that works. I don't have time to sit here and do an in-frame on this motor. So next step is to take the grill off, get the radiator out. Once I get the radiator out, it'll be time to work on getting the front axle off. And at that point, I'll have to work on basically getting the tractor set up to split. I don't know if you really consider it splitting if you're just pulling everything off the front, but I guess that's splitting. So I'm going to repurpose the bar that I used for leveling out the R170 in the last series of videos. I was planning on making some really cool splitting stands for this, but they're gonna have to wait because I just gotta get this done quickly. So anyway, up next, grill and the radiator. Well, that's crusty. Mud daubers. Mud in the radiator. Yeah. Gonna need a lot of cleaning on this one. Okay, so we have gone a couple days. You know, I just got back in town from Wisconsin when I started filming this, and I just I couldn't find my camera stand, like I mentioned. Found one, so I'll let you know where I'm at. I'm about to pull this motor, really. I'm starting tearing this thing apart. In the last several days, I'll run you through what I've been doing though. I put the head back on the motor. This head was off the motor when I got it, and I put it on there just because it actually makes it easier for me to lift this thing out of the frame. I've got it chained up right now with the manifold stud and the generator bolt there. That's enough to lift it out of there. I've got the radiator out. I've got the steering shaft obviously out. You can't take the radiator without that. I have the distributor, power steering pump, and this mounting here, which actually in the long run will be replaced by a Super H 300, 350 style hydraulic pump because I'm gonna have live hydraulics on it. Oil filters off so I can get to these bolts and disconnect the oil gauge. The drain plug is crazy stuck in there, so that's something I'll have to deal with later. I was gonna drain all the oil out of this motor, but it didn't want to, so it stays in. Not that it's important, but I put a better seat on it. That's not my favorite style of seat, but it is way better than the one that was on it. And that is probably the smoothest old seat pan I've ever found in the wild. I found that in the junkyard. However, that's unimportant. What is important, so I have the leveling bar that I built for the R170. Very handy. And that, you can actually see it's bowing just a little bit. So what I did, just to get a little more stability, is I made this tower of railroad ties. So some of the weight's on this, some of the weight's on that. I think most of the weight's on this. It really is a lot more stable than it was. I was going to weld C-channel on here and bolt it to that because this was going to be there, but honestly, everything, half my tools are still in the van. The welder's still buried in there the deepest. This place is an absolute mess. So this is good enough. It's not quite as janky as it looks. It's a little janky, but it's more stable than it looks, trust me. I don't feel like dying, so, and I feel pretty good about it. The brakes are locked. They got the two supports here, and I think I'm gonna put a jack behind the drawbar just to minimize any type of hopping that it might do, you know, wiggling around. Once it loses the weight of the motor, who knows? So it's just a good idea. All right, as you can see, I've got the motor hoist there chained up to the top of the steering tower there on the bolster. What I'm gonna do here is unbolt the Schwartz here. It's got a bracket, bolt there, and then once I disconnect those two on this side, the two on the other side, then I'm gonna start pulling off the frame rails. At that point, this thing will probably try to dip down a little bit, but we'll see. It should be fine. Once the frame rails are off, the front end goes that way. I stick it out in the driveway, and the motor, basically I hit those two bolts and this thing comes off. It's ready to get chained up and pulled off. And then we just have a back end of a tractor, and then that guy can go on it. So anyway, we're close. All right, so as you saw in the time lapse, I got the motor in. I actually didn't take the input shaft out like I was saying. I just finagled it and got the splines to line up with the flywheel on the motor. So This motor, a little different because it has the normal IH distributor ignition. This here is the hydraulic tank for the Balun power steering up there. This I have to take all of this out, but I'm just going through and fancying stuff up. I put the stack on there real quick because I figured maybe I'd just try to fire it off how it is. I went through and I cleaned up the carburetor last night. I understand why it didn't really run too well in the junkyard. It only got a few pops out of it, and that is because the carb had a bunch of jets and stuff plugged up. So that's all we're gonna get out of it, just a little bit of gas vapor. So hopefully she should fire off and run. The problem I'm running into now is that I haven't put oil in it because the oil pan is pushed in. So I'll show you the idea I have for that. A fairly common thing on old tractors is the oil pan gets pushed in, especially if it's a motor where it's been out of the tractor. I don't believe this happened while I had it because it's never sat on the oil pan. Now this just happens to be luck. This won't work on every oil pan, but the plug on a Farmall H, and I believe an M, is a 3/4 inch pipe, 3/4 inch MPT, which happens to be the exact pipe size that my slide hammer is made out of. However, my slide hammer won't fit in that area right there. So what I did, I went down to the hardware store. I got a 1.5 foot 3/4 inch pipe nipple, and that should just thread right in there. So let me get this put together. All right, now it's pretty breezy today, so hopefully that won't inhibit your ability to hear. So I've got the weight off the slide hammer. Doesn't look like I'd be able to fit it in there. Now you really want full thread engagement on this, I'd imagine. Now as a stop, I grabbed a coupler. Pretty pulled out. Hopefully that bung doesn't leak. It could. I think it might be good. Anyway, now I can put oil in there and try to fire it. Well, it's been about an hour and she's dripping a little oil, so I'm gonna have to pull that pan off at some point, reseal it. But I've got the carb set up here, got a battery on it. I just want to see if this thing will fire. Put a sediment bowl in there. Let's see if she fills up with gas. Yep, filling right up. Don't see any leaks. Makeshift ignition switch. First start, let's see what it does. All right. So she runs good. Now it's time to clean up this absolute disaster of a garage around it. Actually, one thing I do need to do, I know I talked about this already, but this is the horizontal IH stock distributor ignition, and this tractor came with the vertical AC Delco distributor ignition, and it had a hydraulic pump here that ran the Balun. We just talked about that. I know I just talked about this. I'm sorry I'm repeating myself, but I've gone through and I've cleaned all that stuff up. It was fairly crusty, looked like it might have been leaking. I wasn't able to find a bad seal in it, so I'll be putting it back together. It could have just been leaking from the hoses, but anything I'll find out once I start running it. But anyway, that's got to go back on. The radiator's got to go back on, I took that off and cleaned it out. It had some buildup in it. It's overall really great shape, so that's good. And I've got to go through and start replacing hoses, because no easier time than now to do that. So yeah, huge progress today. We're getting there, still a lot to be done. All right, well, unfortunately, I have to cut in and make an impromptu ending to this video, because I actually go through, redo the AC Delco distributor and get everything done and show how to time the motor on this tractor, how to static time the motor on the tractor. And then by the time I got done editing everything, the video is like an hour and a half long, so nobody wants to sit through a video that long. So I'm gonna end the motor swap video here, and then in part 2, we'll go through the ignition rebuild and static timing the tractor. All that said, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, that really helps me out, and I'll see you in the next video.